this thing on? Is this thing on? Fishy? You guys, for those that are piling in here, welcome DFS Army MLB Live Lock Show. To be honest with you, I got a little hyper when I hit the go live button when I saw that it was time, and I yelled probably a little too loud into Razzle's ears. So I apologize in advance for that. I promise to tone it down. Razzle, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm sick of looking at rain out my window. Been that way all week. Sick of looking at rainouts in baseball too. Losing my favorite pitcher on today's slate is annoying.
Minnesota still hasn't finished the first game they started a couple days ago, have they?
Yeah, they did. They finished it in extra innings today.
Oh, okay.
They're into game 2, or their main game today, or was it yesterday's main game? I don't know. They're in the 6th inning of game 1.5 of the day.
At least that's a good thing. I hadn't been watching the scoreboard, so I didn't know. I just saw this morning it still said suspended. I was like, oh dear Lord. Interesting stuff. I guess that I'll lead off today and tell people that I crapped out. I got about 60 cents back in a dime time that I did, which was, I guess, not the worst, but it's not great. A lot of stuff didn't come to fruition last night. Shot craps on the boosters, late night slate, and lost a chunk last night. Not that it matters. We'll be back. How did you do?
I think I ended up a little profitable. Not as great as I thought it was going to be, based on the start. Was up quite a bit, dropped to being down, and then I had one Yamamoto lineup that just took off when he was racking up strikeouts and looking at a no-hitter. So that saved my night. Yeah, well, that's all it takes in the GPP life is one good lineup to get you deep and repair the damage. It's kind of funny. My brother and I, we talk poker a lot back and forth. I know I brought it up yesterday, but we tend to run opposite. He's, hitting big hands and, winning sessions and whatever else when I'm in the dumps and vice versa. So maybe you and I operate that way a little bit too. If I didn't profit last night and you did a little bit, maybe we run opposite cycles. That's good because one of us will be doing good at all times. Hopefully.
I could see a couple of people in here. Cujo's in here. Tattoo Freak says, what's up? Tattoo said he had a 4th and a 23rd in his 5-max last night. That's cool. Happy to say there was a helmet above him as well. So that's really, really good. I am going to try and do something here. If I can get this up on the screen. The hell with it. I'm just going to list them while people are piling in. I got a litany of recent MLB wins from DFS Army VIPs. So seriously, if you're here for the first time, MLB Live coupon code down there at the bottom, dfsarmy.com/pricing is where you want to go. You need to be a VIP. Get in here, gain access to these guys in Discord. The track record is there. And look, just this week alone, are you ready? You'll recognize the names. Upper Slat, of course, is a frequent cash, not cash gamer, but a casher, hits the money quite a bit. $500 first place in a GPP, $2,000 first place in a GPP. Zapple first place, $10K in a GPP. DFS Accountant first place in $10K in a GPP. These are all GPPs. There's uppers again with, I guess we went back to back on those. So let me close out of here and cruise down his list because he shared a ton. There's JMA with $1,000 winner in tiers. That's pretty cool. Not TEARS people. We're talking TIERS, the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 competitions. These guys play those too. 1,500 to frequent flyer Sintao over on FanDuel. First place finish there. Was that Jay Mason? $1,000 winner in tiers again. There's some MME. That's a mini max right there. First, 4th, 9th, 200, 212. 200's got $4, but first, 4th, 9th, 3 top 10s for Skyler over on DraftKings in that mini max probably a couple of days ago. There's one of his better line. That's Oyster Dude, 7,500 there. Guys, I'm going to I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 more than I mean, just track records there, boys. I don't know what to tell you. If you're not a VIP, you're missing out. So we'll share those throughout the time too, and more pile in. But let's dive into the rundown really quickly. Just so I've got myself caught up here and can talk a little bit, hopefully not completely incompetent about today's slate. 7 games. Probably already got that wrong, but we got Coors Field again with Philly in their last game in town. Starting pitchers, as of this morning, the high ownership pitchers were Garrett Crochet, Jacob deGrom, and then Smith Shawver, whatever, out in Atlanta versus Washington. Then we've got weather concerns. New York Yankees, 50 degrees. Boston, 49 degrees. Winds blowing in both those ballparks. Now, Boston doesn't have rain chances, and New York's minimal, 10% PPD and 30% in-game delay. So nothing to really, really worry about today unless you're going to play, the arms in New York Yankees Stadium. Maybe you get a little concerned, but probably not a ton. And then, of course, warm weather out west in Sacramento, 82 degrees, wind blowing out to right there for the Athletics and the Angels. Gosh, that's not it's not too bad. Our chalk stacks were Philly again, no surprise. LA Dodgers and the former Oakland Athletics to round all that out. I'm going to call up the weather station here really quickly if I can find that. Oh, I need to go to it.
We did lose Atlanta, Washington on the slate.
Early PPD.
Yeah.
I was caught in traffic, man, trying to get home at the last minute from picking my kid up from work. So to be honest with you, I am running a little bit behind here right now, playing a little bit of catch up. So everybody bear with me. I apologize. So we are down to 6 games.
Yep.
So, and that's amazing. The early PPD Washington, that changed because this morning, the only thing that was on there was a 10%, 30% in New York. The Washington game, unless I overlooked it, that's 35 and 70. I don't think that updated since this morning. So maybe I just missed it, thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I had 7 games. I don't know where I missed that one, but I did.
I think you might have missed that one. That was the main worry overnight for our weather guys.
And that's Smith Shawver, right?
Yeah, and that's the annoying part because Smith Shawver was going to be my number 1 pitcher, even though all the ownership was on Crochet and even deGrom.
Well, even better. I mean, golly. I saw deGrom and I was like, ooh, I don't know. Good pitcher and all. But, man, I don't know if I want to be tackling offenses this year. But not a bad way to get different on a smaller slate, not super large. Ownership matters a little bit. Not bad. Who are your other pitchers? Who do you like in terms of, tournaments and all that good stuff?
Pitching's bad. Just not ideal. Garrett Crochet against the Mets, they aren't hitting left-handed pitching as well as they would hit right-handed pitching right now. I expect that to turn around at some point. Like Vientos should be better against left-handed pitching. Alonso should have some more power against left-handed pitching. Alvarez should be better against left-handed pitching, and Lindor should see an increase. But the way they are right now, Crochet, obviously, super chalky. It's the annoying part. deGrom is actually in a pretty decent spot against the Yankees. A lot of strikeouts in the Yankees lineup. And deGrom, we know, just attacks. So I'm not as worried about deGrom against the Yankees lineup. Then I think we grossly play Ryan Yarbrough in that same game. Texas against lefties hasn't been very good. He's lengthened out enough. I think he threw 5 innings the last time out. So I think he's in play. Taijuan Walker, even though it's in Coors. I am a little annoyed that Colorado went with 5 right-handed bats. He is a reverse splits guy. So I was hoping they might end up with 6 left-handed bats to make him feel a little stronger. Tyler McGill getting a ton of ownership. Boston strikes out plenty, but McGill has not looked good the last 4 starts, I believe. So that's a worry for me. He feels like the one guy on here that I might go underweight on. But it's just gross pitching outside of Crochet and deGrom, and even those 2 guys are against strong teams.
What are we seeing about has Kevin Gausman got anything left?
He's shown upside this year. He's going to be in my pool because I have to use some guys. Chris Bassett shut down San Diego last night, picked up some strikeouts. Gausman dominated against Cleveland earlier, dominated against the Boston team. Pretty strong performance against Atlanta. So, like, he still has it, and he's pitching at home where he's been far better. And San Diego's bottom half of that lineup is struggling right now. So,
see a dart throw?
Gausman's worth playing. What do we have? We have him around 13%. I would guess I'm probably going to be around 20%.
Okay. So it wasn't just complete crackpot when I saw the matchup and was like, man, maybe we ought to look into that. That's why I like having you here, get to ask you some of those questions. I trust your research and your mind, and hopefully everybody else does too. And to be quite honest with you, this is the secret to being a DFS Army VIP, is you get to kind of let these guys do the research for you and make you a better player. Tattoo's talking about all the different strategies, small ball style, small field strategy, large field GPPs, all that good stuff. We got guys that specialize in cash games as well, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, let's make sure that I get all caught up on these questions. We just answered Tyler McGill, however you pronounce it. Should you be worried about Mets bats? Chuck is asking, and do they hit better against lefties? So we'll just lead off there. We'll dive kind of into the stacks. That probably puts a little bit of a wrap on pitching.
No, they're actually a better team against right-handed pitching so far this season. Let me see if I can bring up some split numbers. But yeah, they do have a couple guys that traditionally have hit lefties better, but they aren't yet this season. Garrett Crochet is just a strong play. Their team ISO is around 20 points lower against left-handed pitching. I don't have their strikeout rates, but when Brandon Nimmo is your third best ISO guy against, should quantify that. Like, there's a couple guys that are higher but are platoon guys, and they're left-handed. So, like, when 3 of your top 5 or 6 against left-handed pitching are actually left-handed, that's not a good sign, especially taking on somebody like Garrett Crochet. And one of them is their backup catcher as well. So, like, the only guy to worry about based on how they perform this year would be Alonso, who's got an ISO of 244. Otherwise, like, the main guys, Starling Marte has the next highest ISO at 148. Like, they've just been super weak against left-handed pitching. Maybe compared to expectations. Juan Soto's hitting left-handed pitching fine, just a bunch of singles and walks.
I just need to regress back to that ISO that we know some of those guys are capable of. Get a little pop back in the wood, and maybe hims.com or Cialis, something like that would help them out. We're not worried about the PPD, Chuck, or at least I'm not. PPDs, when they get up to 30, 40, 50%, I get a little bit worried about arms, sort of, kind of, and I try to time the storms. That's a little, deeper strategy type stuff, and it's a little bit risky, but I don't worry about bats until it's well over 50%, because a lot of times they'll take the field, they'll come back, and if they don't PPD the game, the bats, they come back and they're fine. It's the arms you got to worry about if there's an in-game delay of any kind, and with a 10% PPD chance, it's just not very likely. So I'd say green light across the board on that one. If you've got players that you're targeting in it, what are your tier 1 and tier 2 stacks? Because again, I'm seeing, if I sort the ownership here in leverage stacks, 97%, 75%, whatever. So not big time ownership across the board, but let's just call it the top 3 or 5 chalk stacks in air quotes. Philly, Athletics, Rockies is a little bit interesting, getting in the top 3, Angels and Blue Jays. And then underneath that, where you might take some leverage, Atlanta tied with Toronto. There's some other ones, like the Yankees, they could go off. I don't know if they will. The Mets, we talked about a little bit. Padres are overdue, for crying out loud. how are you ranking things, and where would you be going overweight the field? And I guess I should start with really the elephant in the room. Are you overweight on Philly again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be just like we get back down to breaking it down percentage wise. Like I'm seeing 92% ownership on Philly, roughly 10% per guy. They're a tier 1 team for me, so they're going to be around 14% in my stacks, maybe a little more. I'm only actually main stacking 10 teams tonight, maybe even 9 because Atlanta being postponed. I haven't decided if I'm replacing them for sure. I might.
How many lineups?
160 something tonight, I think.
Okay. If you were just going, if you're doing 9 teams, if you were going from 160 something lineups down to say just 20, how many would you cut off the back end of that? How many teams would you stack for 20 lineups?
Probably 4, maybe 5.
Okay.
I have 3 teams in tier 1, which is different than normal. Atlanta being postponed, I technically only have 1 team in tier 2, but I might move the Angels into tier 2. Just because there's home run upside. So
tier 1 is Philly. You know what we should do? We should have guys. There's however many of you guys in their chat watching. Guess who's in tier 1? He already said Philly, right? I think I heard
Philly will be in tier 1. Yep.
Because we're going overweight on them. What do you guys think? Shoot, you might as well throw some comments out there. Take guesses. I mean, do you think he's going to do San Diego, or do you? We could play a little bit of a tier stacking guessing game going forward in future shows. I'll throw the first one out there. I think that the Athletics are also your tier 1 team.
They are.
Bing. There's one for Chop.
They are, even though there's something about the matchup that makes me not want to have them in tier 1. Mostly because Kuchanowicz is like, he gets hit around by lefties. The ballpark itself has actually not been great to left-handed power. So I might be nitpicking a little bit and move him to tier 2, but at this point, I'm not moving him. But I could see not having them in tier 1 because of that. The reason I couldn't move them down really is because of the other team in tier 1. It's just not a team I normally have in my top.
Okay. There was a hint. Not a team that you normally have in your tier 1 stacks or in your stacks at all.
I mean, they're generally in my stacks, but probably a tier 3 team most of the time. Okay,
so I'm stuck.
But
on
I mean,
Rockies.
even then, it's not a guarantee they're always in my stacks. But when I do have them, they are tier 3.
So you're totally. I'm with Rodster, and Anthony. You guys are on my second pick. I'm thinking he might go balls to the wall here with the Colorado Rockies, or it's Toronto. They're picking. Tattoo says the Angels. Angels have been in there because they hit home runs. Everybody's going Toronto, so I'm going Rockies. I'm going to put my balls right here on the table, Funk, and I'm going to say that you put the Rockies in tier 1. Tell me I'm right.
It is actually Toronto.
Oh! Okay. Commenters 1, Chop 1. We're tied. Toronto makes more sense than the Rockies anyway.
I am a little shocked to see their ownership up at 74%. Not that that's very high. Again, around 8% per guy. It's not that big, but they're a team that most people just generally don't like stacking. And I'm in that ballpark, but I just always want to pick on Randy Vasquez. I like the way things line up for like a Varsho and Santander, Vlad and Bichette swinging it solidly enough. So that's 4 guys right there, and then you can mix in like Barger or Springer or somebody like that. Kirk, I think Kirk projects really well. I think he was popping in one of my runs.
Did Vladdy hit one out last night or the night before?
I don't think Vladdy did. I know Santander hit one last night, and he's going to hit one tonight, is my belief.
So Anthony brings up a good point here, too. If you only have 3 teams in tier 1, that means the Dodgers are tier 2.
Dodgers are tier 3.
Tier 3.
They are.
Tier 3. Rodster's verifying that Vladdy did hit one out last night. Cool. Sometimes I see these alerts pop up on my phone from Twitter, and I never know, if I see them right or not. So Dodgers are tier 3. That's pretty amazing. Is Arizona a tier 2?
Arizona is tier 2.
Look at me go. Just off to the freaking races. That puts Dodgers tier 3 is amazing. LA Angels tier 2?
They are now. They weren't until
Kind
after the
cheating because you said you might bump them.
Yeah.
And how many other teams do we have in tier 2?
There's just 2.
2 more?
No, just 2 total. Arizona and LA.
So we got them all.
No.
So we got. Hey, we're picking Razzle pretty good tonight. I like it. Or collectively, guys, we're going to do this again. But we take tomorrow off, so we'll be back on Friday. We're going to do this again on Friday. In terms of, I need reminders. So you guys tune back into the show and type into the comments. Remind me that we're going to play kind of a quote unquote lineup game with Razzle. We're going to try and guess his tiers 1 and 2. Tier 3 can be really sauce, especially towards the cusp end of it, whether he's stacking somebody or not. So I think it's amazing that LA fell into tier 3. Is that a matchup based thing for you?
Yeah. As much as I thought Corbin Burns might be washed, like he dominated the Dodgers recently. I think it's a decent spot for Corbin Burns. Not that I want to use him much or at all. I don't even think he made my pool. But yeah, a lot of people generally are on them. We have them at 41%. Yeah. I would guess they're going to be higher on than that. So I'd rather go high on them as a mini stack. It's kind of the stance I'm taking tonight.
So that means Yankees have slipped to tier 3, if at all. You said Arizona was tier 2. Did Colorado make your stacks at all?
Colorado is in tier 3. The Yankees tentatively are going to make tier 3. I have them on my sheet. The reason I would include them is hoping that DeGrom makes it just 5 or 6 innings and then they destroy the Texas bullpen. I just don't think that they have the ability to dominate DeGrom. So,
ceiling lowered. Not non-existent, just lower. Well lower. Picking up on what you're saying. Let's do some dongs. We got Taylor Ward out of Tattoo in the comments. Guys, throw your dong calls out there too. Let's see what you got. See if anybody can guess Razzle's dong calls. I will do the BVP thing. I got Yohan Moncada against Sears. He's 3 for 4, 3 bombs, and a 3,800 OPS on a short sample. The longer sample is Fernando Tatis, who I would probably prefer, even though San Diego's been a little bit of an ass against Kevin Gausman. He's 8 for 17 with 2 bombs and a 1,380 OPS. So, and Manny Machado has 2 bombs off of Gausman as well. So that'd be an interesting BVP mini stack and it makes sense being top of the San Diego Padres order. It's not like you're taking 2 flyers on people that can't hit bombs. So it makes some sense. Who would be your dong call? Oh, Luis Urias from Andres. That's a ballsy dong call right there. Vladdy again tonight. I like out of Rodster because Toronto stacks need that. If he goes, that cycle goes, that lineup spins. Razzle, dongs out of you?
Two of mine come from Vladdy's teammates in Barstow and Santander.
God, let's hope they all 3 hit one.
So I like the Luis Urias call. I thought he was going to do it last night, to be honest. But, of course, he didn't. I like Tatis and Machado. One of the big reasons I like, obviously, BVP comes into play. But it's the fact that Gausman has a very has a pitch that is very I'm trying to think the word I'm looking for.
The word you're looking for is middle.
Well, no, it's he relies on fastball, but then splitter-wise, it's a very extreme pitch. It's either racks up strikeouts with it or it's a home run. And when you get guys that have good BVP against a guy that throws a splitter, that's something I believe in a lot more. Kind of similar if we had knuckleballers going in today's game, believing that BVP would be huge, just because that's such a specialized pitch. And it generally with splitters, we see a lot of low batting average numbers, a lot of low ISO numbers against them. So finding two guys like Tatis and Machado who have hit Gaussman with power, that's a spot that I like to take advantage of.
Good tip. Good tip.
Zach Neto, another guy that I like against the left-handed pitcher tonight in that ballpark. Right-handed batters in Sacramento, more of a boost than left-handed batters. So Zach Neto, Taylor Ward, obviously, Logan O'Hoppe, Brent Rooker in that game, even though Kochanowicz is better against right-handed bats. Anybody in Coors, probably. I think.
They're all on the table.
Coors is better from a home run standpoint for left-handed bats, but we've gone over this in discussions numerous times lately. Coors is not a home run ballpark; it's an extra base hits ballpark. So it's tough to go to the right-handed bats against a lefty. So you're kind of hoping on Schwarber or Harper. Harper's been swinging it so well in left on left. But yeah, it's not the greatest day for home runs. Did my draft earlier today with the couple friends that we do, and it was not ideal. And I can tell you that I passed on Aaron Judge with the third and fourth pick. So the guy picking second actually got both Shohei and Aaron Judge, but
wow. Oh, came back around on the
matchup based, you know. So like,
you know what, they can go 0 for 8.
So
okay, well, Coors Field, they can go 0 for 8 though. Ohtani and Judge,
right?
They've done it before. They can also hit 4 bombs, but whatever. Any interest in Boston tonight for a sneaky stack? Rod's asking.
I do not have any interest in Boston.
I really
cold.
Don't either. It's
cold in Boston. I mean, Boston is in my tier 3. I just don't like the game itself. McGill has been giving up runs, but I think the bottom half of that Boston lineup's been pretty rough. Like they've been really carried by Devers. Jarren Duran might be warming up a little bit, but Christian Campbell's in some long 0-for streak. I know. I did notice today. Bregman's just hitting singles right now. So, but yeah, it's that mostly that the weather in Boston. I don't really love it. It's in the 40s, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of cold weather. That might be the golfer in me, but the ball don't fly either when it's cold. Let's see. There was something else that I was looking at here. I was looking at really, really quick, and I didn't find it. I was circling on my computer. Hopefully everybody could see that Boston is actually the 3rd most leverage delivering team or whatever. If they do go off, you should have a hell of a night. It's just, to me, it feels like a little bit too much of a gamble. Let's see if there's anything else out there. Guys, throw it out the questions. We got another 5 or 10 minutes here, 5 minutes or so. We can probably, we just don't need to do that much tonight. I don't think in terms of discussing a ton of stuff, we pretty much got our marching orders pretty quick. So if there's questions about even cash games or about, whatever, fire it up. Otherwise, Razzle and I, we got an earlier lock tonight in 45 minutes. So that gives us a little bit of time to jump in there, ask some final questions in the VIP Discord at dfsarmy.com, as well as build those lineups, hand build, finish them off, all that good stuff, and really see if we can't throw some more helmets on leaderboards tonight. Anyone? Bueller? Seemed like we got a lot of response out of that stack tier guessing game, so we're going to do that one again. That seemed like a lot of fun. Boy. In cash, do you just go top 2 on pitchers and call it a day? Not usually, Andres. There's a little bit that goes into it. One thing that I do like personally, I do look at the ownership, and I'm not getting too far outside of the top 3 or 4 owned guys if they're all kind of up there around 20-30%. But I do like to look at things like Neely's Carnage Report inside dfsarmy.com and do the K-score. For me, I've always had good luck with finding even some of those little bit lower owned guys that make a little bit more sense sometimes that people are overlooking. I don't see anybody really on there tonight per se, but it would make me wonder about Gaussman because I need that K flow, and he just doesn't seem to be carrying it. According to the Carnage report, I mean, this K score is a 416 when it should be over a 500. Tyler McGill is a 604 for whatever that's worth. I'll share the Carnage report for everybody tomorrow. What do you think in terms of the couple of cash game pitchers? Would you just go top chalk, or would you get off of it a little bit yourself if you're playing cash? If you saw a better matchup.
It's tough. Like, I think the default would be just take the two highest owns. There are times where I'd pivot off of one if, I mean, like tonight, I think if all games were playing, I think I would have ended up on Smith-Shawver over DeGrom maybe. But that's just because I really believed in the matchup for Smith-Shawver. He's a reverse splits guy, and the Nationals are very left-hand heavy. Plus, Dylan Cruz went on the IL as well. So, that was just a spot that I was going to attack hard on this particular slate. So, I think it does change on a daily basis, unfortunately. I know it's not the best answer, but I think we need to be able to make adaptations to our plan on a daily basis just based on what we have in front of us, not using an exact cookie cutter, kind of a rough estimate. So I would say mostly it's for sure the highest owned or the second highest owned. One of those two are probably making my build. And then it's really going to be matchup based in the other one. If there's just one that stands out to me, I'm not afraid to make that change.
Right. And I think that's the key distinction is don't be afraid to go against the chalk if you feel the matchup is there, because that first guy is going to be sometimes 60, 70, 80 something percent owned. You're kind of a fool to fade that guy. I don't care if he does well or gets blown up because it doesn't hurt you if he gets blown up. But that second guy, 20, 30, 40%, not even 40%, 20, 30%, something like that. Sometimes you get a little bit away from that. So, yeah, I think good solid advice. One more question out of Chuck. Do you like to check tournaments 10 or 15 minutes before lock and find tournaments under 100 entries? Like check the lobbies and dive around in there. I've done that myself. I don't do it too often anymore. But if you're really looking for overlay or something along those lines, it's definitely a good thing to cruise through and see what isn't filling and see if you can't pick off a little bit of softer contests. Absolutely smart strategy. Do you do that, Raz?
Yeah, I do it for a little different reason because I don't really think we get much in terms of overlay anymore. But what I do look for is like version number 2 of certain GPPs or number 3 of the day or whatever. Because
like
obviously they end up with smaller fields, but you still might be able to 100 or 150 them. So then I can just throw my 100 or 150 of my run into those as well. Kind of helps my return on nights where I need it, where maybe my best lineup ends up in the $1 mini max and the return isn't as strong. Well, if I get those mini max lineups into a second mini max or whatever, it kind of increases the return in case, basically to help me in case I just pick the wrong lineups for the $8 or the $15 or whatever it is. Because I've had nights where my top lineups are in like the $1 mini max and it wins me $1,500 where it would have won me $50,000. So just raising that, but yeah, I'm constantly looking to get an idea. I mean, like tonight, just looking at it right now, there's a mini max, another 50-cent mini max, but that's almost full already with 40 minutes left.
Yeah, that'll fill.
You just pay attention to the secondary versions because there are times where the secondary versions have flatter payouts than the primary as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I like to find those. A lot of times those secondary ones just they feel better. You feel more confident getting in those too.
I will say this: when I've done a lot of back testing, results-oriented back testing, I have found for whatever reason that you would think that when the slate opens up and the contest's first post and Minimax, all of it, 50-50s, whatever, all of them, you would think that's where all the sharks would pile in, reserving for tomorrow. And that's probably true to some degree. But I have found that those, for whatever reason, especially in NFL, those early contests, if they're not too big and they're not lottery tickets, have a little bit lower cut lines in them and sometimes lower winning scores than the one that goes 2 minutes before lock. I'm trying to get around the contest size thing. It's independent of contest size. I believe it's a timing thing, where people maybe forget or they set it and then don't pay attention up until lock. The sharper people are kind of doing things right up to lock, and I don't know if that's the thing or not. It always has perplexed me in terms of finding that out. I'm not saying that to undo what was just said, and in the least. I just have noticed that over time a little bit. I think it's kind of weird. I guess it's just people dead money, people forget or whatever. I have no idea. Do you have any insight to that, or have you ever noticed that?
I mean, maybe like, obviously those smaller secondary versions that get created are really strong for being able to 150 max to be able to have a larger percentage of the pool. So that's kind of probably a regular DFSer's, I don't know, happy point, because they get to have a larger portion.
Yeah, I would call it market share.
Right. So that can certainly be the case in this scenario. I never really looked at it that way. I just know that once I started to decide that I was going to attack some of the secondary stuff as they pop open, I just know that it's helped some ROI on nights where it might have been a bad night in comparison. And obviously, yeah, the higher percentage of the entry field is always something we're trying to attain as MMEers.
Sure. It's just weird to me. And again, I don't exploit it. I don't look for it and target it and all that stuff. I never really have, because I never think late at night or early in the morning, get up and lock my contests in. And some of the ones that I do don't fill anyway, or they don't open a secondary contest anyway. So it doesn't make much of a difference for me. I just always found that really, really weird. And I've never seen anyone talk about it. I've never seen anyone point it out. So I figured I would just throw it out there and see if there's got to be some logic to something somewhere. Not that it matters a ton, but anyway, that ought to do it for today, huh? We got the 30 minutes now before lock. Let's get out there. Let's get our lineups up there, slap those helmets on, and let's get up those leaderboards.
Yeah,
Final thoughts?
Sounds like a great plan. Don't really have a whole lot. Temper some expectations on your lineup performances tonight. I don't think it's a great night of baseball from a DFS standpoint. Home runs, etc. Not the best night for K's either, it seems like.
Would you cut off of a 5x2 stack and consider a 4x2 or something like that?
It's certainly possible. I don't think I'm going to. I haven't run my final. I actually haven't even run a single grouping yet for this slate. So it certainly could be. There are some not so great pitchers and there are questionable pitchers on this slate. So, I guess I can see the route for 5 to go off. And on a 6-game slate, 5-2 is overwhelmingly the strongest. Like, ridiculous amount where it's probably a small sample size based on what I'm looking at. But, it's 4s just don't perform very well on a 6-game slate, apparently.
Interesting.
3-2. Yeah, it's pretty much all 5s, which is weird.
Well, cool. That tells you what we need to know over a decent sample size. I know there are some nights when you might make an adjustment, but tonight, even just maybe it's a 6-game slate thing. But would you even take a Texas pitcher if he's going up against the Yankees? That's the DeGrom comment. DeGrom definitely has upside tonight.
he's not somebody that's going to get lit up. Plus, the Yankees lineup overall isn't. It's not as scary as some of their numbers make you think. They do strike out, so there is upside for DeGrom. It's not a matchup-proof lineup. I can promise that. I mean, Judge could even strike out 3 times. He could hit a home run, go 1 for 4, strike out 3 times. Goldschmidt's not in the lineup. He's somebody that I would trust a little bit more against a pitcher like DeGrom, but he is not in tonight. The bottom third of that lineup is not great. So, I mean, DeGrom's just going to be popular too because of name value.
Well, he also said he wanted Rockies or Angels or Oakland or something like that. He's saying he doesn't have any idea to do for pitchers. I mean, we're mentioning that pitchers are wide open to a degree. If somebody just came in the last seconds of the show, let's leave them with that final thought. What would you do for pitching again, really, really quickly? Like shorten your pool or?
I mean, I always shorten the pool anyways, but
sure.
I mean, like I'm still playing a bunch of Crochet because it's great pitching weather. I mean, it's cold. It's probably why McGill's ownership number has jumped up even higher now. It's almost 30%. I'm tempted to use Yarbrough. I'm going to use Gausman. Like, I'm sprinkling in the other guys. I am using Burns, actually, but there's just worries across the board. So if you get 40 to 45 from your 2 pitchers on DK, you should feel super strong about where you sit tonight.
Good target. Let's leave it there. Put a button and a bow on this thing. 40 to 45 out of both pitchers. Hopefully you do a little better than that. But if you see that tonight, you might find yourself in a pretty good position. So, as always, thanks, Razzle. Let's get out there, build those lineups. Like I said, put the helmets up top, and we'll see everybody on in the Discord and out on Twitter land bragging about our wins, right?
Yeah, and tattoo Go Stars.
There you go. Everybody have a good night. We'll talk to you on Friday, but that'll do it for me and Razzle, the DFS Army MLB Live Lock Show, and we'll catch you later.